So in this video, what we are going to do is that we are going to continue our bash scripting tutorial. So let's make a file first in script.sh, and then what we would do is we would give it executable permissions. And now let's start our text editor and do the coding. Well, before that, let's open our notes. So what we are going to do in this video is that we are going to learn about some important variables which are usually predefined in bash scripting. So before that, what you have to do is you have to define which kind of cell you have to use. So let's do it. And now the first variable we use a lot of times is dollar and then question mark. Well, what this variable do is that it would give 0 as value if your recent command has executed successfully. Like if I say like cd and then or dot, which is to go back to previous directory, and then we do something like echo and dollar question mark. So now what it would print is like this 0. So it printed 0 because the previous command before it got executed successfully. But if I do something like if I um, try to go to some weird kind of directory, so now what it would do is that it would print 1. Like here is the error message that there is no such directory, and then here is the value of echo dollar question mark, which is 1. Well, it is useful when you want to do something like you want to have a script in which a specific command should run, then and then only you want to execute further any command, or you want to execute any kind of other set of commands after, based on the condition that whether recent command in the script got executed perfectly or not. So here it is, and then we have something like UID. So it is generally used to find something like whether a user is root or not. Like I am not a user, so it would give me something like 1000 as value. But suppose if I run it as a user, like if I do sudo and /script, so it would ask me password. Let's enter it, and here it gave me output as 0. So why it gave me output as 0? Because I am ran this script as a root user. So for sometimes you want to identify that whether this script is being run by a root user or not, so you can use this variable. Now other kind of variable is dollar and then user, which would print username. Like if I do something like /script.sh, so it gave me the username by which I am logged in. And now the next variable is home, HOME. What does this variable do is that it gives the path of your home directory. Like now if I run it, so it gave me the path of my home directory, that is /home/ankur. And other thing is like shell. Well, what does this thing will do is that it would print me the current shell which I am using. Like I am currently using fish shell, so it gave me the path of fish shell. Now another kind of variable is path, and what does it will do is that it would give you the path of your shell. That's not I have used that much, but I have used something like pwd, which prints you the current directory in which you are present. Like if I run this, so it would tell me about what is the current directory that I am present in. Now many times have what happens is that suppose you are in your home directory and you do ls, you got all the file contents that are there in home directory. But if I want to know something like what is content of something like yt, so what I would do is that I would type ls and then yt and then press enter. So it gave me contents of yt directory. So what happened in that is that you have to give an argument, and if you want to do in this kind of thing in your own script, so how can you do it? So there are many ways. So let's first talk about you want to get the first argument and then second argument. So how can you do it? So for that you have to press $1, which is for first argument. And now if I do something like I make it $2, so it give me output of second argument. And now save it. So now this time if I will press something like AnkurAlpha and then Linux, so what it would do is that it printed me first argument in first line and then second argument in second line. But if I do something like this, it didn't printed me third argument. So what you have to do is that you have to write echo dollar and then 3. So now you will get third argument. But suppose this is how you can get first argument, then second argument, then third argument, and so on. But suppose if you want to something like you want to get all arguments at the same time, so how you can do it? So for that you have to do something like echo and then star, or you can do also echo dollar at the rate and save it. And then now what we would do is that we would run the same command again. So here it give me output of as all the arguments that I passed in the script. And if you want to do something like you want to get the number of total arguments that I passed, so how can you do that? So for that you have to write $hash. So if I now can try to run the script, so it gave me 3 as output. Now if I pass another kind of argument this, so it gave me 4 as argument. So you can see that how we can use arguments in a script. And $hash is being used here to know the number of arguments that we have passed. Suppose you want to have some specific number of arguments in your script, so you can use this to verify first that whether the user input gave all the necessary number of arguments that you want, or there are some more arguments or some less arguments. So you can identify it by this. So now let's move on. So now next thing is next these two commands are going to help you in debugging things. If I add set-x, and now if I write some kind of thing right now I write something else and this, let's delete this line. And now if I run the script, so what it would give me is that it first prints me the command which is being executed, then the output of that command, and in second line, and then next it again prints the command and then output of that command, and then third command and whatever being executed in third command. So it is very useful in something like you want to find any bug in a script that is very big, something like 500 or thousands of lines. So you can use this command to get to know which kind of command is being executed at what time. So you can get a brief idea of that through this set-x thing. And there is another thing set-e. Now what it would do is that suppose if you got an error in your script, so whenever any kind of error happens in any bash script, so it prints the error and then moves on to continue the rest of the commands that are going to be executed in the script. Like if I do something like cd, and then I put some weird directory names, and I put it here on this line, and then on 7th line there it has to echo arch. So now if I run the script, so it didn't print the last thing, that is arch, in the last line. Instead it just ended up after printing the error that this directory doesn't exist. Why? Because I put this set -e command, but suppose I just comment it out. So what would happen? Like you have already guessed it, but if I run this, so you can see that arch has been printed. Why? Because it is the nature of bash script. Like even though any kind of error happens in your script, but still it will continue to further commands that are going to be executed. But if you suppose you don't want to do something like that, like the script should execute perfectly, or it should not get executed at all. If you want to get such kind of nature of the script, so you can add set -e to get something like that. Now let's move on, and now we have some very useful things like base name, real path, direct names, which are very useful. Like if I do something like, if I want something like a path of suppose this directory, so first I copy the path, and I want to get something like a base name, like what is base name you want to know. So if you do something like this, and then now you don't know what does this will do. So I would tell you that it is going to remove all the path of the file, but print the name of the file only. Like if I run this, so yeah, here you can see that it have printed only the name of that file. But if I do something like real path, so it would print the whole path including the name of the file. And now if I do something like dir name, so it would only print the name of that directory. Like I run this script, and then you can see that it didn't print the notes, that is the name of the file, but it printed the directory, the path in which it is present. Now it can be very useful for some time when you just want something like you have a path of a file, but you want something like just the name of the file. Or suppose if you have something like just the name of file in which you are present currently, so what you can do, like you can just get the name, write the name of the file in real path, and then you will get the proper path of that file. Like now I will run the script, so you can see that here I have only just put the name of that current file of the directory in which I am present. So what it did, the real path command, what does this real path command did is that it printed me the whole path including the name of the file. And I can do this with something like dir name too. Like if I do something like dir name, and then I would run it again, so it gave me output as dot. So why it gave me output as dot? Because dot means that it is present in current directory, so it gave me output as dot. So you have to remember these things while using things like base name and real path and direct names. And these are going to be useful when you are doing something like file handling with your scripts. Like you want to know some kind of path of any file, or you want to input the path of the file to get some other kind of thing done, so you can use this. And now let's move on to next thing. So we have last time learned about if statements, but you can use if statements to find something like whether there is a file exist or not, or whether there is a directory existing or not, or if it is executable or not. Like if I do something like if and then I would like, if I copy the path of this file and then I want to know whether this file exists or not, so I would just do if, and if hyphen f, and then I will put the name of the path of that file, and now I close it. You have to remember that you have to put the space in between them. And now what I do is I want to echo that this file exists, and then type fi to close the if statement. So now if I run the script, so it would say that this file exists. But suppose if I change the name of this, like I remove the s from the notes, and now I save it, and for clarity let me put an else statement too, like I enter else statement, like it should echo something like this file doesn't exist. So now what would happen is that when I would run the script, so it would say this file doesn't exist. Why? Because I have notes but not node as a file in my current directory, so it said that this file doesn't exist. And you can do same for your something like you want to find like whether a directory exists or not. So if I remove this word and now I change it to hyphen f to hyphen d, so and I would change the word from file to directory, and I run it again. So what would happen, that it would say that this directory exists. But if I do something like I change the name of directory and I write it YTE, and now I would check it again, so it says that this directory doesn't exist because I don't have any kind of directory in located like named something like this in my home folder, so it says that it doesn't exist. And now suppose I want to know something like I want to know that whether any file has executable permissions or not. So what I can do is that I can use -x flag to find it out. I would change this name again to something like file, and then what I would do is that I would say it like is executable. So now we have another code in which it will check that .script.sh is whether executable or not. So let's execute it. So say that this file is executable, because if you would ls it and then see that there is a script.sh is written in green font, so it simply means that it is executable. You can even find it out by looking at whether it has x or not in the file properties, which is being shown by ls command. So that's how you can check in your script that whether a file is executable or not, or something like a file exists or not, or a directory exists or not. It can be useful something like you want to do some kind of operation with some kind of file, so it is very useful practice to check that whether this file exists or not, or this directory exists or not, or if you want to execute that file, so you can check that thing also, like this file is executable or not. So that's, and now last thing that I want to tell about is end/dev/null. So what does this command do? I would tell it about it. Like suppose if you want to go to some kind of weird named directory, and no matter whether it goes to that directory or not, or it prints some kind of error, but you don't want to see it in your basket. So what I would do is that for preventing any kind of output, I would just type and greater than symbol with /dev /null. Now what would happen is that it won't give any kind of error, but the thing is that there has gone some kind of error. Like I would, if I remove this and I will put a hashtag here. So now if I run the script again, so it says that there is nothing like this kind of directory. But if I remove it and then I run it again, so it would say that it would not say anything. It can be useful for something like I would show you a live example of it in some of scripts that is present in my system. Like if I will go to cd config and then I will go to hyper and then I will search for something like this, and now I would show the example of this script. So I would just search dev. So here you can see that I didn't want it to get whether it would print any output or not. I didn't want it to any kind of error in it. So what I did, I just put an end /dev/null kind of thing, which will prevent to print any kind of output in my script. Or if I go to some other kind of example, so here is an example of ffmpeg. So in general, what ffmpeg do is that it is a kind of video converter. So if I run something like ffmpeg, so it would give me all the options that I can use, and it is a kind of video converter you can think of, which is used in Linux a lot for something like video processing. So what I wanted is that I didn't want it to get any kind of error message or any kind of message like what it is doing. So I just put /null thing here, and because of that, what happened is that it doesn't give any kind of message. Like I would show it in my script, in this script too. Like I just do something like ffmpeg, and now if I would run the script, so it gave me some kind of printed some kind of message. But if I do something like I and greater than and then /dev/null, so now whenever I would run the script, so it won't give me any kind of output. So that's how /dev/null is used. It is very useful command when you just want to get the thing done, but you don't want to see messages whatever it is giving to you. So I hope you liked the video, and that's all for this video. I will meet you next time in some other bash scripting tutorial. Till then, bye.